You've just made a lot of people wonder if they could have been on that fishing trip. Like, that sounds like the greatest fishing and asking Asmodean questions.
And I know, and you're not.
I accept that. I accept that.
And she knows, and he knows.
Was Jim excited about that secret? I mean, it seems like such a big reveal. Was it something he was excited to tell the fans eventually that they would find?
Yes, he enjoyed building his little mysteries and throwing his red herrings and his clues out. And he would read what they'd written about Baron, maybe the purple Aja theory, and he would just kind of and he really enjoyed making people interested enough to really argue about it.
Right.
And I think he was looking forward to seeing the reaction when everybody knew what the deal was with Sneaky Sneaky Baron.
So Jim loved our arguments.
He did.
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, I don't think of him that way. Like, it's like really. I mean, I know he loved us asking him, but I mean, I can imagine. It gives me a different view of him. Like, he really liking that there's this place out there where people are just back and forth and talking about it the entire time.
It wasn't just about the arguments within the world. Jim liked to be around people who thought. And if he made you think, or you made, heaven forbid, you get just him to stop for just a second, that meant you made him think. I lived for those moments.
I remember listening to an interview, maybe some of you heard this, it was an audio interview he did pretty late on. And I'll be honest, the person asking the questions was kind of a doofus. But Jim's answers were quite good. And one of the questions was about something like this. Do you write your books to say great important things, to pontificate on this? Anyway, it was one of those kind of self-important questions that the reviewer seems like the interviewed spent a lot of time like coming up to make themselves sound smart. And Jim's answer was just so eloquent. He said, I write books and I write things to make people think and ask questions, but I do not give them the answers. And if I've given the answers, then I've failed, because they should be thinking on their own and coming up with their answers that should. So he wanted to prompt people to think. He didn't want to give them the answers, though, and you can see that even in the little things, like a lot of the questions people would ask at conventions and things. But it was greater than that for him. It was more. It was about making discussion, about making people care and think and work.
Which, with Baron, when you wrote that, I mean, it seems like you've left that open for us to continue thinking about it, even though you have this moment of.
You mean your shirt is green?
Exactly.
I've told this story on tour, so I would be willing to bet that half of you have heard it already. But I had been warned that Jim had written some things. I had been told that, not warned is the wrong word, but I knew that there was this pile of material, and I knew I was going to get to read it before everyone else. And I flew to Charleston for the first time in December of 2007. And back then, it was all still hush-hush. It wasn't coming out. A tour was going to make an announcement on like the 11th or 12th or something. And so I'm flying to see Harriet on Thursday or Friday, and it's going to be Monday or Tuesday when they make the announcement. So anyway, I'm flying in, and it's kind of a long flight to get into Charleston, particularly if you leave at a reasonable hour from Utah. You're going to get in pretty late, and I got in pretty late. And Harriet knew that I hadn't had dinner, and she's driving. We come up to this house for the first time, this beautiful house that they have there in Charleston, and she said, "Well, I made some bean soup. It was quite good, by the way. But I made some bean soup. Do you want to have some of that?" And I actually said, "No, please. I'd like the ending." And she laughed, and I went into the sitting room with the ending, yeah, and as I've told people, there was a post-it note on the top regarding Asmodean. Though it didn't actually say, it just said this is it. It was attached to a sheet of paper. Someone said we should auction off that post-it. I don't know if I still have it, but it doesn't say on it. So anyway, but I read through that, and I there are a lot of surprises. There are a lot of great things. There are a lot of really interesting things. But I have to be honest and say that the Varen one was the most satisfying to read. It was just, you know, because she, how shall I say? If I can mention another author, you know, J.K. Rowling. I really like her works, but I think she really screwed some things up in the last book. And you know, Snape.
Don't hold back.
Yeah. Snape. The ending for Snape was so dreadful and kind of wimpy. And here in Jim's notes and in partially written scenes and things was just this beautiful reveal about Varen, who you've been following for, you know, you've been following Varen for 15, 17 years, and this beautiful, epic moment where she, where everything falls into place, and beyond that, she acts with such beautiful honor in a way that, you know, it's just one of those shining moments that you look for in really great fiction, and it was right there on the page, and it was beautiful. And I remember reading that and saying, oh, you know, just it was wonderful, and there were several moments like that and heart-wrenching at the same time. It just, and so that one was, I mean, reading that, it brings tears to your eyes when you know, it's such a beautiful scene. And that one was pure Jim, that wasn't me, and it was, I mean, he'd been building this, you could tell, since the beginning. And so what was my reaction? That was my reaction. It was just a wonderful moment. And then I did eat some bean soup.
Excellent. I think my first post after reading the book was, the title of the post was 598, which was the page of that page, because that was the most poignant moment for me in the book. I wish I could have these guys up here, and I think we're running out of time. I wish I could have these guys up here for the entire thing. Oh, sure, yeah, go ahead.
I've got one thing I think we should have here. There was an article that appeared in the Charleston paper recently, and there was a piece of artwork in it that I think you found kind of attractive and handsome. And that's for you, sweetie. For me? Yes.
Seen this. This is by an artist named Seamas Gallagher, and I think it's just wonderful. This was on the cover of a weekly newspaper in Charleston called the Charleston City Paper, and it was the cover article. And if you haven't seen it, it's online. And we also brought a number of copies, and Jennifer is figuring out whether you have to give her your firstborn children. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Is that all?
Have you seen it, Brandon?
And Pat hasn't seen it.
I haven't seen the full size.
No, there is no original as far as I can tell, other than on his computer.
Oh.
That's wonderful. I saw the little one.
That's you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's me?
By the way, the guy kneeling is Brandon.
Oh. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. When I first saw it,
Yeah.
it was a cloudier version, and I said, Maria, I don't remember this scene. It's the dragon banner, you see, and he's handing it on. And there's a guy with a hat and a shandarai looking over there.
There's a Rand.
Yes, there are
And
many
Perrin.
people. Many people.
And all the girls are over here.
Yeah.
All the girls.
All the girls. Including the other girl that didn't get introduced. Hi, Marcia. Sweet.
Yeah. And Marcia Warnock didn't get introduced earlier. Marcia is part of Team Jordan. Stand up, Marcia. Think about it. Oh, beautiful.
You want to carry it home? Good. I think you should stay up during the con someplace.
Yeah.
We'll put,
Yeah, we'll put
Can you take
Somewhere?
turns?
Well, yeah, we'll talk to Jennifer.
yeah, I know right where to put it.
Yeah.
We'll make